Reopening the federal government isn't as simple as flipping a light switch. So last night, a handful of centrist Dems agreed to vote with Republicans to end the months-long shutdown without getting what Democrats had demanded, assurances that health care subsidies will continue so premiums won't spike in a few months. But 24 hours after that deal was reached, the vote to reopen the government still has not happened. The bill that is up for debate tonight, possible vote on the way this evening, would fund the government through January 2026, and it would reinstate federal workers who were fired during the shutdown. The deal does not include an extension of health insurance tax credits. Instead, Senate Republicans agreed to hold a separate vote on that issue in December. Colorado's Division of Insurance estimates 225,000 Coloradans rely on the expiring insurance tax credits and could see their premiums double next year. Colorado's Democratic Senators John Hickenlooper and Michael Bennet both say that they are a no on any deal to reopen the government that does not deal with rising health care premiums.
The Republicans have voted 15 times to take away those benefits from the American people that they're relying on just to make insurance a little bit affordable. And we have taken the position that we shouldn't make matters worse.
Any spending deal that's reached in the Senate would also have to pass the Republican-controlled House. House vote is at least 36 hours away. Speaker Mike Johnson has kept House members away from the Capitol for weeks during the shutdown, which has had the side benefit of delaying the swearing in of a newly elected Democrat who would be the deciding vote to release the Epstein files on infamous pedophile Jeffrey Epstein. 600,000 Coloradans who rely on SNAP food benefits still don't have clarity on when they will get help paying for meals again. Our Angeline McCall spoke with a nonprofit struggling to give people food and answers.
At neighborhood food banks, it's new faces and a new level of need.
I think it's already been a burden, and I think right now this burden is really just too difficult for so many families.
Greg Pratt with Buenvenidos Food Bank in Denver's Sunnyside neighborhood says they saw the most people ever last week, roughly 500 more than normal, 35% higher than at any other time.
It's having to ramp up in such a short notice. So we plan ahead, and then to have such huge numbers show up from one week to another.
Pratt estimates about 40% of the clients who come here rely on SNAP.
It's just a roller coaster ride.
After a legal back and forth with different court rulings, Colorado will pay out 65% of payment benefits for the month of November. But that was only after a different court decision, ruling SNAP benefits had to be paid in full. 32,000 received that amount. The other 560,000 are still waiting for a partial payment this month.
It makes it really impossible for us to plan, and when you're a small pantry like this too, especially one that allows drop-ins.
While other food pantries operate with an appointment-based system, Buenvenidos lives up to its name, welcoming anyone when their doors are open during their busiest month.
And now that number is going up so much that I'm actually quite worried about these subsequent weeks. That will we have to turn away people just because we cannot serve that many who are going to come out for food.
And while they're working to keep up with numbers they haven't seen before, families are also facing need they haven't experienced before either.
And now they're feeling desperate, and they're saying, I need to get food and I need it today.
Well, we talk about 65% of benefits being distributed. New information we received today from the Colorado Department of Human Services says that families can indeed expect partial payments, but it's not going to be an apples-to-apples $65 for, say, every $100. For some, that calculation may mean some households will receive $16 or less. It really has to do with the tool, Kyle, to calculate what households will be eligible for.
All right, we'll keep watching it. Angeline McCall, thank you. President Trump is pardoning dozens of key players in his effort to overturn the 2020 election loss and stay in power. And some of the president's allies are saying that this is a step toward freeing a Coloradan who is serving prison time for messing with voting systems here. Trump has pardoned John Eastman, who was once the visiting scholar in conservative thought at CU Boulder. He's the man who drew up the plan to overthrow American democracy and remain in power after Trump's loss. Eastman was also an attorney for the Colorado Republican Party before he was disbarred. Eastman's Claremont Institute is still representing the state party in a lawsuit. The federal pardon cannot shield Eastman from state charges in Arizona for trying to subvert the election results. Trump has also pardoned Jenna Ellis. Here's her mugshot. She worked at Colorado Christian University before joining the Trump legal team, where she made false statements about the election. She later pleaded guilty to a felony and had her law license suspended in Colorado for 3 years. Unlike Eastman, we should note, Ellis no longer supports Trump's election rigging claims. Trump's pardon attorney Ed Martin said online that they are, quote, working on help for Tina Peters. She's the former Republican clerk of Mesa County, serving 9 years in prison for her role in a scheme to sneak a fellow election conspiracy theorist into her county's voting systems in search of election rigging. President Trump cannot pardon Peters because she was convicted on state charges. She is in state custody. But there is increasing pressure from election conspiracy theorists for the Trump administration to free Tina Peters through any means necessary. The Supreme Court has agreed to consider new restrictions on mail-in ballots. It's a top priority for President Trump, who's claimed without evidence that Colorado's elections, among others, are rigged because of mail-in ballots. The case challenges a state law out of Mississippi, where election workers can count mail-in ballots that are received shortly after Election Day. Mississippi is one of 16 states that allows late ballots to be counted as long as they're postmarked by Election Day. Colorado does not allow that in most cases. Mail-in ballots from military and overseas voters can be counted in Colorado for up to 8 days after Election Day, so long as they are submitted by 7 p.m. election night. Final rulings expected by June of next year, and it could potentially change the way that mail-in ballots are counted for the 2026 midterms. Voters in Douglas County want a change in direction on their school board. So out with the conservative majority and in with a slate backed by the teachers union, by Democrats. Tomorrow, the outgoing lame duck slate gets one last meeting to make changes in Doug Coast schools, like the last-minute request to renew all the charter schools for the next 10 years. Here's Marshall Zellner.
Douglas County charter schools are public schools. The people who run those charter schools need school district approval to exist every 5 years. Take, for example, Parker Performing Arts, which is up for charter renewal next year. Well, unless the school board tomorrow passes a new agenda item extending every charter agreement 10 additional years.
That's why this is being dumped in at the last minute on a hurried situation, is to try to get charter schools new contracts without any review or discussion.
Tomorrow, moderate board member Brad Geiger will still be in the minority when the 7-member board meets one last time, before the 4 conservative board members are replaced with a moderate slate that just won the election. The agenda item to extend charter agreements by 10 years was put on the agenda Friday by Board President Christy Williams, who did not respond to a text, phone call, or email. In an email asking for a phone call back, Vice President Kaylee Weiniger said, "Not interested, thank you." Becky Myers answered my call, but not my question. And Tim Moore texted that I should speak to Williams.
What do you believe is behind this?
What do I believe is behind this? Well, I don't even have to look very closely. They don't like how the election came out. There is this mythology out there that somehow this board is going to be anti-charter.
When charter agreements come up for renewal every 5 years, the charter school must provide documentation on performance, finances, and governance.
I'm not aware of a time that anybody, any board, has threatened the renewal of a charter school. We want to just have every 5 years check in, because they're spending public money. And in the end, how you spend public money should be responsible to the people elected by the public.
If you got a tip that they weren't spending public money appropriately within the 5 years, couldn't you look into the school?
We could. Again, it puts the burden not on the charter school to seek renewal or to provide us the documentation. It puts the burden on the district to come find them.
If the school board approves this change, the charter schools that want 10 extra years have to notify the district by the morning of November 24th. That afternoon, the new school board gets installed. And the change would amend each charter school's contract, so if a future board disagrees with the 10-year time frame, it becomes a contract dispute, not a policy dispute, Kyle.
I mean, the one meeting is actually that's a pretty tight lame duck window. I mean, like Congress or a president gets a longer lame duck window to do stuff.
Yeah, usually you've got all the rest of November and December before January begins when the new members get installed into their seats. But it's got me wondering, like, maybe there should be policies that change this lame duck period if you really get upset. If you have a faction of people that are like, we want a different look, and then that different look does something on the way out, perhaps timing should change. I don't know.
You know, Marshall, they say that voters want transparency, and this is pretty transparent. I'm just saying. Marshall, thank you. As Coloradans have struggled with hunger and with worry, as SNAP food benefits have paused in the government shutdown, your weekly generosity through your Word of Thanks microgiving campaigns has made a real difference in the lives of our neighbors. First week, you raised nearly $100,000 for the Weld Food Bank. Then you came back last week and raised more than $80,000 for the nonprofit Benefits in Action. They deliver food baskets to low-income seniors in Denver, Jefferson, Adams, and Arapahoe counties. We are going to continue to use Word of Thanks to focus on the issue of hunger in Colorado. We'll be back on Wednesday with a new campaign. Your microgiving has done such good for Coloradans in every corner of this state. Through 283 weeks of consecutive giving, you have raised almost $16.5 million. As always, if you have ideas on nonprofits making an impact in your corner of Colorado, text THANKS to 303-871-1491. City Council got some concessions out of the mayor on the budget, and yet they're still not happy. And the Trump administration is trying to reshape education policy. Colleges in Colorado are hurting from cuts at the federal level.
This job, I get to do a little bit of both. I get to meet great people and hang out with dogs.
So her job is to get the service dogs trained, then their job is to help veterans heal. That's next. Denver Mayor Mike Johnson chose not to pick a fight with City Council over budget cuts. He agreed to all of the amendments that Council asked for in next year's city budget. And Council still gave him the finger tonight, voting down that budget with their amendments included. The $1.6 billion budget is a reduction in spending from previous years, and at Council's direction, it dips into contingency funds to fund work programs for the homeless and to fully fund independent city agencies like the Auditor's Office and the Clerk's Office to run elections. But City Council was so unhappy about this process and the final product and what they said was non-transparency that they objected in a split vote tonight. It was largely ceremonial, even if it otherwise would have gone down, because the city charter requires the budget to go into effect today. City Council could still choose to oppose individual appropriations to specific agencies in a vote next week. Meteorologist Chris Bianchi, Georgia got some, Kentucky got some, Tennessee got some, Alabama got some.
The Carolinas got some.
Carolinas got some. Colorado can't get any.
Colorado can't get any. We just can't get the snow here, Kyle. Maybe next week. Maybe next week. So if you're a snow lover, hang in there. But Huntsville, Alabama, seeing snow flurries today. Now, it didn't accumulate on the ground, but enough that you saw some snowflakes in the air in Atlanta, Georgia, as well as into Charlotte, North Carolina, and Chicago, Cincinnati, Columbus, Ohio, Indianapolis, like real snow that's stuck on the ground, a couple inches in those places. Every place that you're seeing here on the screen has their average first snow almost a month, if not later than that, average Denver's. In Denver, we have not had a snow yet. Our average first snow, October the 18th. What's doing here, Mother Nature? A little wind for us here in the foothills for tonight and into early tomorrow. Otherwise here, folks, the main weather impact will be this area high pressure. This is going to be kind of firmly overhead here as we head over the next couple of days, and that means more warm weather. If you like the warm stuff today, you'll get it again tomorrow. Mostly sunny skies, low 70s, just a little bit breezy for us, especially in the foothills west and north of Denver. Temperatures topping out in the 70s, eastern plains. Average high for Denver for tomorrow is 55. But you look ahead at that 7-day forecast. If you're hoping for snow, not this weekend, but next week, looking interesting. If we were to extend this to a 10-day forecast, we'd have the likelihood for some snow for the middle of next week. Keep you posted on that as it gets closer.
It feels like something you should be able to do if you want. Just put on a 10-day forecast next time. Who says it has to be 7?
True. Hey, we'll do it.
All right, there you go, 10-day forecast. I delivered results for you. Major funding loss is going to be big trouble for CU's Center for Asian Studies. The U.S. Department of Education discontinued 2 grants in September, cut about $500,000 in funding. Their executive director says the cuts threaten 2 out of their 3 faculty positions and could mean trouble for the programs that send students to Asia to learn. She says the cuts were due to shifting priorities at the federal level.
I think that we will make it through this. I think that we will need, the U.S. will need people who have intercultural skills and language skills and, understand things about the U.S. and its role in the world. And so, that need is not going to go away.
CU's seeing cuts left and right. They say they have a total of 58 grants on campus impacted by changes in federal funding, about $30 million total.
I thought it would be cute to have my dog's face on the VFW Facebook page, so I submitted Bodhi's picture.
So it started with something that simple. After serving her country, a woman is still finding a way to help her fellow vets. Hey, a reminder, you can catch Next streaming each night, 6 p.m. on 9 News Plus. The stream is nice, come on in. And also, because I am a middle-aged man in America, I have a podcast. It happens to be this program, and you can find it wherever you get your podcasts. Happy birthday to the U.S. Marine Corps and early appreciation ahead of Veterans Day for all of you who served our country. We know many of you are serving still in a variety of ways. Our Mike Grady introduces us to a veteran in Colorado dedicated to making life better for her former service members.
You make friends?
Hello. Service looks different to different people.
What branch of service were you in?
So I actually joined the Navy at 17 and a half.
Art Camacho
It's great that you're here.
and Bridget Dominigini both served their country.
I was in the Army. I'm an Army combat vet.
And in a way, so is this guy.
This is Bodhi. He's in training to be either a mobility service dog or a facility dog with Canine Partners of the Rockies.
Bridget works for the Service Dog nonprofit.
Mom was a service dog. His grandparents were service dogs. So he's bred to do that.
Art is dealing with traumatic brain injuries from his time in the Navy.
And you can see our heads like...
We bring dogs in for therapeutic visits for veterans and first responders in the Marcus Institute programs.
But this isn't her job.
So our dogs are in training for about 2 years. Each of the dogs live with volunteer puppy raisers.
Volunteers like Bridget, whose service got the attention of the VFW.
It's their Still Serving campaign, and it's about veterans who were in the military or are still serving that now work within their communities to do cool things.
A national honor for volunteering her time, showing dogs like Bodhi how to serve.
A lot of veterans feel like they don't, and myself included, I felt like this, they don't fit in anywhere in the civilian world after they get out of the military. Building a connection with an animal kind of builds that confidence, that trust for a lot of veterans, I think, and then they can kind of be a bridge to finding a path back into the civilian world, I think.
I love animals, I really do. I always had them in my life, and they always calm you down.
That's awesome.
For Bridget, this service is a privilege.
Ooh.
I just don't feel like I'm doing enough for veterans. I feel like I'm just getting started.
For Next,
All that work for a little bit.
I'm Mike Grady.
What meaningful continued service. Before a bunch of you write in and say, hey, Canine Partners of the Rockies would make a great word of thanks recipient. They were earlier this year, full disclosure, right? We worked with Bridget on that campaign. Thank you for raising more than $50,000 to support their work. We're back with your feedback next. Thank you. Shirley writes, $180,000 to help our neighbors put food on their tables is a typically generous response of Next viewers. Please continue this quest. We will. And Shirley, I love this idea of typically generous, right? I really try not to take your astonishing weekly generosity for granted, and I promise you, the close to 300 nonprofits around the state that you have helped, they absolutely do not take it for granted, even if it is typically generous. And here a note from H on X saying, don't let absolute failure and your annoying personality stop you. Oh, it won't.